One of the most significant things to me on my spiritual path, and one of the things that I like to help people I work with the most with, is sort of like creating kind of like an agreement with life, a contract, or whatever you want to call it, but something that gives you this sense that you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it. You kind of like have an understanding with life, so that maybe you could say you've got life's back and life's got your back when it comes to everything that pertains to you. Now, in particular, I think this is also really important and meaningful in what's becoming more and more turbulent times. I think that, unfortunately, as the world is going, there's all sorts of money issues going on, governmental issues going on. I mean, things are going a little crazy. And so at that point, it would be really easy to get lost in the crazy. It would be really easy to get confused and to become fear-based, which is exactly the opposite of being on a spiritual path. On a spiritual path, we want to be fear-free, or as much as possible. We want what drives us to come from something else that doesn't fill us with fear, but instead, almost like a blossoming flower. It comes from within and it really shines and grows and like outshines whatever's going on the outside. So that instead of sort of being under the cloud of fear, we can kind of blossom and have a meaningful life that we know what we're doing, why we're doing it, what the reason is. We have more of that purpose. And like I said, we have this understanding so that we're good. So in this series, I'm going to talk about that. Because like I said, I think it's just one of the most significant things that can really affect your life and make you strong in that sense on the inside, which is going to affect your life as far as the outside goes and make all of what you're doing and why you're doing it so different. Today, we're going to start with a very simple starting point. I used to really teach a lot within the Toltec structure. The Toltec structure is an ancient structure that came from Mesoamerica kind of thing. But one of the things I really like about the Toltec structure is that it starts with what they call the mastery of awareness. In other words, you start by looking at what's going on in your life, you raise your awareness, and as you raise your awareness, you empower yourself some, but you also sort of Sherlock, that's my word, Sherlock what's going on. So that, like Sherlock Holmes, you kind of like are on top of knowing what's going on. That would be the first step in feeling better about your life. Feeling like you know what's going on with life, life knows what's going on with you, right? It puts you in that place of an empowered knowledge that then lets you make the right choices. So start by Sherlocking yourself. Notice where right now, and don't forget, you're just Sherlocking. You're not judging, you're not changing, you're observing. Observe where it is that you derive information from. The most significant information is, how do you decide whether or not things are working? I mean, maybe it's as simple as, I got a promotion at work, everything's working. Maybe there's a lot more to it, right? One thing I love about this is that working with life works at different levels, whether you're new to your personal growth or your spiritual growth and you're just learning about things, or whether you're more advanced and you're working on your purpose and you're working on your life mission kind of thing. Either way, when you look at it, look at your heart, look at how you feel. When you put your head down on your pillow at night, what tells you whether or not things are working out? What tells you whether or not your life is on the track you want it to be? Are you completely lost to that? Or how do you measure that? Do you feel like your life is expanding and blossoming like that flower? Or do you feel like you're under that cloud? What is your life about? Do you know what your life is about? Do you know what your life should be about? These are really easy questions and really hard questions depending on the depth that you go into, depending on where you're at in your life and where you're at with your meaning and your purpose. Where do you look for these things? What is your life currently about? Are you happy with what it's about? And where do you look to see what it's about or what it should be about? Are you satisfied in that way? Is it a really good life? If you were going to exit right now, in other words, die, would you feel like you had lived your life well? maybe you don't quite feel like your life is complete, but do you feel like you're on the path to completion? Or do you feel totally like you have no idea what your life is about? You have no idea what it should be about. Where are you? Maybe you're somewhere in between. These are the things that are going to really set you in a direction. If you want to be in a place where you know yourself, you know what you're doing in your life, you know where you're going, how you want your life to be, you feel good, life's got your back, you're going in the right direction, because that's all possible. It starts, if you haven't already done it, by Sherlocking yourself. And frankly, it's always good to come back and re-Sherlock yourself and reassess and make sure that you're staying on track. One of my old best friends once said that life is like being on a ship out in the ocean. You constantly correct your course because the wind and the waves constantly take you off course. So it's a matter of always staying aware, of always knowing what direction you're going in. Now, another question to Sherlock is, what's your purpose? And or what brings you meaning in life? You can look at both of those or pick one. These are, again, the things that are going to create sort of like a map and really give you direction. We're going to talk about how to shift, how to look at these things so that you really have this map inside of you that has your course, sets your direction, and you've got that guiding North Star so that you're not feeling like you have to correct course too much. You're going in the right direction. Again, today, step one is to Sherlock yourself. And I gave you 3 questions. The first question is, are things working? The second question is, what should my life be about? And the third question is, what is my life's purpose or my meaning? As you work with these and you start to Sherlock where it is you look for the answers for that. Do you look inside yourself? Do you look to others? Do you look to see, like, are you seeking approval from others? If your boss gives you a thumbs up, if your spouse smiles at you, or if your significant other does that mean your life is on course? Where do you look for these things? Purpose, meaning, what seems purposeful? Where do you look for that purpose? Where do you look for meaning in your life? Ask yourself these questions. Journal about it, ponder about it, meditate about it. Sit with yourself. Take yourself to coffee. Have conversations with yourself. It's far more powerful than it sounds because it helps you start to go to one of your most powerful places, which is yourself, by knowing yourself, living by the first causality in so many spirituality schools. So stay tuned for the next video and we'll go into the next step in this little mini course.